So here's what we got going on today. It's supposed to be a snowstorm, but then now it's going to be a freezing rain thing, and a bunch of snow first, and then freezing rain. When it's a red warning like that, that's not good. 4 to 6 hours of ice buildup and freezing rain and whatnot. So this is when we get power outages, and there's going to be high winds apparently too. Saw something about that here somewhere. 20 to 40 late this afternoon, and tonight it's 30 to 50 after midnight. So I'm anticipating probably power outages and lots of mess. So today I'm going to go through the procedures that I go through when there's a coming storm like I'm seeing tonight. The freezing rain is our biggest problem, and the ice buildup on the lines, the power lines, and the trees. That will give us, likely there's going to be power outages, and this is across the province too. So what that means is that there's crews dispersed throughout the province. It's not just one localized area where they can kind of react quickly. So there's a few things I like to do ahead of time to relieve some of the stress of when the storm happens, and the power's probably going to go out and things like that. So we're just going to walk through a few of those things. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the plow on my truck. It's not a dedicated plow truck. This is kind of my everyday driver, do everything truck. But I have one of these light duty plows. That's it's a DK2, in case you're interested in the brand name. I'm not sponsored or selling this or anything. I've had this thing for 5 years. I got it when I got the truck, actually. Bought the truck new 5.5 years ago, and I got the plow at the exact same time. And yeah, had a lot of people tell me, "Are you crazy? Brand new truck and you're putting a snowplow on it?" Yeah, that's why I bought a truck. Anyway, it's when I first got the plow, it had like little flip down wheels that you could roll it around. I suppose if you're in a garage or something like that. I'm obviously not in a garage. Had the plow shoes on the bottom, had another thing in the middle to kind of like a shoe to hold it up to get it parked. I've since busted off all of that stuff. But I've got a system down anyway, and it's helpful to have a cheap jack to line it up, and then yeah, it's a pretty simple process. All I do is I drive the truck up, line it up with where it slips in. This part on the truck slips into that there. Something like that. I gotta do the same on the other side, just get it started. I like to get the plow on the truck before the storm if I can, as long as I'm home to do it. Just goes on like that. These little clips clip on to lock it in place. It's not that hard, really. Slide that on. There's one of these clips on both sides. That's really it. That's what holds the plow on. Now I've got to get my precisely measured blocks of wood. Which is really just 2 2x and 1 4x seem to be about the right height. Sometimes I can drive straight into that thing. Sometimes I need the jack. Some of this ice and snow off of it. Had another precision instrument to hold this up so it's the right angle. And that precision instrument is another 2x4. Don't need that anymore. And there's one wire. I got a hidden one in here. It just plugs in. This particular plow has, some of these versions, these home plows have like a winch to lift it up and down with. This one actually has an electric actuator, which I think is probably more reliable. You're not worried about the strap and things like that. And it has a wireless remote, which is handy. So I didn't have to, there's a little bit of wiring I had to do to the battery to a thing inside to hook up to that wire there. But it's wireless, so turn that on. There we go. And get out my pieces of wood that I hold the plow on. I just leave all these in the back of the truck, and until I'm done I need to put it back, but that's all there is to hooking up this thing. It doesn't have a I can't change the angle from inside the truck, so when I start, I like to start angled. There we go. There we go. I like to get into my starting position for plowing so that when it comes time and the storm's over, I just come out, clear off the snow, get it done. Next thing is, I have a rack of firewood next to the front door, and then I keep a little bit of wood inside to keep that nice and dry. So let's make sure that's nice and full so I don't have to come out here in the storm. So I want to give my generator a start, and just to make sure it's going to run. I know it's new, but you never know with these things. So turn on the fuel. Turn on the choke. There's a little bit of fuel in it. Switch on, eco off. All right, should be good. Oops. just going to let that warm up a little bit. The one thing that I had noticed about this generator is it moves around. You can probably see it's moved itself just from the vibrations. The feet aren't very sticky. Probably can't see this, but I have these anti-vibration pads. My wife actually had bought them for washing machine, but that wasn't that much of a problem. So I'm going to try this out, see if this solves the issue. I think that might have actually solved it. So eco mode was always an issue when it was moving around a lot. In that last that video where I demonstrated this thing, and so these I don't know what they're called. Idea Works. I don't know where she got them from. Anti-vibration pads for washers. Seems to be doing the trick. I have a power station, so I just want to make sure that they're charged up and ready to go. This is an EcoFlow Delta 2, and it's got the extra smart battery. And I have that little guy there. It's an All Powers S600. Very handy, portable, low one. But it looks like we're good to go there. That is full of water, so that's my spare water for emergency. If we didn't have that, I'd be filling the bathtub. That's pretty much it. Make sure I got some firewood inside. It's nice and dry. Some firewood by the front door. That's our heat. My power stations are enough to run my refrigeration, like the freezer and fridge. Internet. So that'll run for, I can get 10 to 12 hours or so on those three things from the EcoFlow system. The generator is an inverter generator, so it has no problem. I've already tested this. It'll charge the EcoFlow, so if this turns into a multi-day event, which history tells me it could, when I see that freezing rain for several hours and the ice buildup we're about to get, this could be, it could be out for a little while. It could be out for days. We've had to go out here for a week at a time. So I have a full jug of gas ready to go, and so the generator will be, it only needs to run a couple hours to charge up the EcoFlows to give us that kind of power. Heat, like I said, it's not a problem for us. I've got my water storage there, so we've got lots of water to keep us going. As far as cooking goes, well, I guess we cook on the wood stove, but I also have a little butane, one of those little portable butane stoves that we might use occasionally. I can also run my coffee maker, a couple small appliances and things like that from the power station system. And yeah, so I think we're good to go. I like to get my plow in my truck before the storm starts, because when it's in the middle of an ice storm or whatever and you're trying to hook up the plow, that's no fun at all. And after the ice storm, everything's covered in ice and things like that. It's just much simpler and nicer to do it now. And then I'm not worried about it, and I'll just do it later. And I'd be able to clear up my driveway. I'll do a video on plowing my driveway, what that's going to take. We'll see what kind of a storm we get, how much snowfall we get. So yeah, I'll do because I've got an interesting situation for plowing and getting it out of here. If you haven't seen it, I think I had a short much earlier that showed some of it. But anyway, yeah, I'll do that later. And I have rechargeable lights. You've seen in previous videos of mine. So a couple of rechargeable light bulbs in the house. Plus I have rechargeable little USB rechargeable lamps. And so we should be good to go. I feel like we've been doing this for a number of years and living in this environment for a while now. So we're quite used to this, and every year, there's always some storm like this, and it'll knock out power, and people are without power for a couple of days, or maybe even a week. And it always amazes me that people are, well, what are we going to do? All the food in our freezer is gone. We have to throw all that out, and I I I fail to understand the logic behind that. If you don't have anything, if you don't have a generator that's going to work and run a freezer and fridge or power stations or whatever, just take your food outside, put it in the back of your car or someplace in a box, or put it in a cooler and stick that out on your deck or whatever. It's cold out here. it'll, it'll be fine. Um, so there's some things like that you can do. If you don't have water storage like I do, and I'm probably weird for having that kind of a system, but fill your bathtub. Do it now while it's starting to snow now, and everybody knows we're in for a big storm, so fill your bathtub so you have water if you're on a well system like I am, and you're not backing up your well pump with a huge generator, which I am not, and I'm not going to. It's unnecessary for me. I don't really see the point. I do have like a little rechargeable shower deal. It's just a pump that goes into like a bucket, and it's got a handle. It's for camping, things like that, and you just recharge it with USB. So when I need a shower, that's what I do. I'll put that in the bathtub and with a bucket of water and take a shower. It's not an issue. If I want the water warm, I can warm it up on the wood stove or whatever happens to be going at the time. Wood stove is more than enough to heat my house. I don't have a big house. We don't use a lot of wood. I don't burn wood all the time either. But it's it's real nice to have, especially when this kind of stuff happens. Yeah, so that's about a little bit about what we do here. And I don't being prepared like this, having the backup power, be it a power station or a generator or whatever you need. You don't need a huge one. You don't need a lot, but you need something to run your refrigeration. Basically, is our biggest concern when it comes to power. And I like to have a cup of coffee in the morning without a lot of fuss and messing with stuff. So that's really it. And so it's not that stressful. Power goes out, no big deal. I just plug stuff in, we keep going. If it goes for a long time, I start the generator a couple hours and keep going. I've got my own system for clearing my snow and getting out of here. I'm four-wheel drive, so I'm privileged, and I understand that. I recognize the fact that I'm privileged enough to be able to have these things in place, and so that these types of events are not stressful. It's not a big deal. I kind of like the big storms sometimes. It's just kind of interesting to be in that kind of an environment. But I understand that people do get stressed when these things happen and the power's out for a long time. So a little bit of preparedness goes a long way. So hopefully people can see this and see you just do some very simple things. Make sure if you've got a wood stove, make sure your wood is inside and dry and ready to light up if you don't have it going already. Make sure you've got some water on hand. That's very important, and you can just fill a bathtub for that, really, and maybe have a couple of other containers for like drinking water. Get yourself one of those little butane stoves if you want something to heat water or cook with. I think they're in the $30 range. Handy to have one of those around. Really, it's just very simple things like that. So we'll see you in the next one.